Hello, this is the final part on JPA. So I've talked about entities, how they are mapped into the database, repository, how do I query the database and I get objects. And now I'm going to talk about the service. So you can see it there. Okay, so usually we have the domain with domain entities, we have the repository, and then we have a service class. Now I'm going to talk about this service class, okay? For instance, in this case, so what is a service? We have an annotation service, and what you need to do next is you need to auto-wire, okay, all the repositories you need and other services you need. So basically this is dependency injection, and this is provided basically by Spring and allows you that inside this code you have one instance of each one of these, okay? So easily you get the repositories you want to work with, okay? Why do you need the repositories? Because basically each service is the first thing it's gonna do is just to query the database to get objects and then starts executing the business logic on top of the objects that are the result of the query, okay? Then what you need to see here. So I'm gonna show an example here. So the first thing you need to do is every service this here, create is a service. It's in the service class. Each method should be transactional. Why? Because we are interacting with the database. So the database is shared by several applications that are using this, okay? Several requests to the server. So basically you do concurrency control there. So you guarantee according to a particular level of isolation. We are using repeatable read, but if you have performance problems, you need to see what is the semantics and a bit relaxed the isolation level. So it's something that you do by testing and by reading the semantics of the code and see if you can relax it without any impact or at least knowing what is the impact on the consistency of data. Okay? So by now what I suggest is just put transactional. Here we have been doing retryable. Okay, this is not necessary, but actually is if the transaction fails, it retries after some delay. Okay, so it retries again to execute this transaction. So what is the structure we have here? So create quiz answer. Basically, we receive a user ID, and the first thing we go to the repository and do find by ID. So look, if I go there to this repository, I see that I have a find by ID. Okay, so this find by ID gives me back a user. So it's the user that wants to create a quiz answer. Okay, and then I go with the quiz ID that I receive as an argument there. Then I'm gonna get the quiz as well. And then what I'm gonna do, I create a new quiz. Look, I create a new quiz giving the user and the quiz, a new quiz answer. Okay, and look, this is the business logic is here. It's inside where? The entity. Okay, in a Java-oriented or in an object-oriented way of doing it. And then it's what you need to do at the end. You need to persist this quiz answer. So to persist this quiz answer, you need to declare an entity manager there. There's another way to do it. I'm going to show you. An entity manager, and you say to the entity manager, persist this quiz answer. Okay? And look at the quiz answer. The quiz answer creates as well several quiz questions. But I just persist the quiz answer. Why? Well, because I have the quiz questions here and I have the cascade. So the save is propagated automatically. So I don't need to go to each one of the quiz questions, and basically I do not need to save each one of them. Okay? So that's why it's nice here. And the last thing I'm going to do in the service is I'm going to return a DTO. Why I return a DTO? Look, I'm in a transactional context, and I could have done it in a different way, but that's the the standard behavior we define in this code. I always return a DTO. What is a DTO? Basically, it's an object that duplicates what is inside this quiz answer, but it's just a data object. It's just a data transfer object to be used outside the service, outside the transactional context. Okay? We'll learn more about this. Is nice to do it this way. So, but let's just look at this DTO. And as you see, the DTO has these attributes, okay, with other DTOs. And in the constructor, you get to the domain entity and you just copy the data here. Okay? So this is the first part. I'll be back with something a bit more complex. Now I'm going to show you the service that is invoked every time you are answering a quiz when you choose one option. Is this submit answer. Look what we are doing. We just received the username, the quiz ID, and the value that you answer here in this DTO. And what you do, we go to the repository, we get this, okay, we get the user, and then we invoke another service which is submit answer in another service that is the answer service. So, and here we do all the verifications in your code, and for instance here we have the possibility that we need so we just set all the values, we verify that everything is okay, and we set the values so that your answer is stored, okay? This is pretty much this, but another thing that is interesting is that because of performance, not because of performance, to avoid concurrency control conflicts, when you answer, we try that there are no conflicts with other people. So it means that you just change data that is related to you. You don't change data that is related with other people, because then we'll have read-write conflicts and write-write conflicts. Why? Because look, we calculate statistics associated, for instance, with the difficulty of a question. If every time you answer one question, we just calculate the statistics, and if you are in the classroom with 100 people answering, we'll have a lot of conflicts, okay? And we'll have a lot of transaction aborts and retries, and we don't want to do this. So what you do is every 15 minutes, we run this service that actually does the statistics. So what does this service does? It does a query that we have seen already. This query is a query that gets all the quizzes that are ready to be closed and close them and then calculate the statistics to them. What is the advantage of this? After every 15 minutes, it does this sequentially, so there are no concurrency control problems. Okay? The last thing I'm going to show you, just that you learn a little bit more, is how is this invoked every 15 minutes. If you go here in configuration, you have scheduled tasks, and so easy like this. Look, scheduled, that's a way to say that every 15 minutes I invoke, in the statement service, I invoke this method, and this occurs every 15 minutes. I think that it's enough now, and I think you have enough things to work. Okay, good work then.